Hello, BookTube. This is a continued shelf tour. Let's see. I think it's number 6, but if not, I'll correct it on the label or on the title page. A little hard to get into here. We've got a lamp, an end table, and piles of books here that I'm reading. It's just a space thing, so hopefully this camera angle will work. Start right off. This is a Norton anthology of English literature. Basic major authors edition. There's a map. There's a map of London. I have this in a 2-volume set, basically because it's a great reference. I can find, like here's Chaucer, Edmund Spenser, William Shakespeare. 17th century, you've got John Donne, a lot of John Donne, Ben Jonson, John Milton, Francis Bacon. Restoration in the 18th century, Dryden, Swift, Pope, Boswell, Johnson, Samuel. Then Romantic period, you got William Blake, Wordsworth, Keats, Coleridge, Shelley, and then you go into the Victorian age, Carlyle, Tennyson, Matthew Arnold, Joyce, and Eliot. So it has a volume that follows it up. So I had this in the world literature up here, the Norton anthologies, and I think I have it English, and I think I also have American. So this is volume 2 of the same thing. Again, the map of London. So Coleridge's Biographia Literaria, Wordsworth, Preface to Lyrical Ballads, Matthew Arnold, Literature and Science. So then, moving along, yeah, it's a little hard to get these out. This is a Reader's Guide to Writers London. Who's this? Andre Deutsch. Right here. So this nice end papers. It's just a tour guide, like a tour through London and where famous authors have been and what they've done. It's by Ian Cunningham, and it came out in 2001. This sort of thing. Buildings associated with writers. Neighborhoods. So here's the Globe Theater. So a fun thing to browse in and out of. This next set of books is something I'd like to complete. Now, I love the old dust jackets. So this first one is Oxford History of English Literature, edited by F.P. Wilson and Boname Dobre. I may not be pronouncing it right. This is English literature in the 16th century, excluding drama. It was a compilation of the Clark Lectures at Trinity College, Cambridge in 1944, and it's by C.S. Lewis. The whole series of these, of course, this is one I really treasure. And this came out in 1954. This is a 1965 volume. And again, Oxford University Press. And then the next one here I have is English Literature in the earlier 17th century, 1600 to 1660, second edition by Douglas Bush. Oxford at the Clarendon Press again. There's a list of the volumes on the back, so if you want to see what there are, you can tell what I'm missing by that list. And this came out in 1962. And so here, religion and religious thought, political thought, Johnson, Donne, and their successors. This next one, again in the same series, Oxford History of English Literature. This is English Literature 1789 to 1815 by W. L. Renwick. Again, the requisite list on the back. This thing cost $7 when it came out. I don't know what it would cost now if you had it new. This is from 1963. Views of men, manners, and society, the face of the earth, destiny of nations. And then finally my last one. This is English Literature 1815 to 1832 by Ian Jack. This one was a little more expensive. It was $11.50. I don't even know how the glare is in here. Setup's a little strange. So here I open up to Hazlitt. And moving along, past these histories of English literature, I get to this little anthology. This is Middle English Romances by Gibbs. It's put out by Northwestern. There is no dust jacket. Northwestern University Press, Evanston. Edited by A.C. Gibbs, Middle English Romances. This is from 1979. Originally came out in 66. So here we have King Horn. Sir Orfeo. And moving right along here, I've got the Folio Society edition here of King Arthur. History and Legend by John and Caitlin Matthews, London Folio Society, 2008. So here's a picture of Hadrian's Wall. So the whole history of King Arthur. Then this next one's transverse because I've got two copies of this. One's a little newer. This is the works of Sir Thomas Malory, edited by Eugene Vinaver, Oxford University Press, London, New York, Toronto, 1954. Absolutely love this. So it's not translated into a modern English. Here's the Knight with Two Swords. Madness in Exile, Lancelot and Elaine. So here's Sir Lancelot. And then in a newer paperback by the same editor with some changes. I actually like this edition. I like them both. This is Oxford paperback. This is the second edition of the book. And this is 1971. There you go. Not a lot of helps with these, but that's all right. Then here I have, this is a Cambridge University Press, Literature and Culture in Early Modern London. This is by Lawrence Manley. And when did this come out? He was from Yale University himself, but this is Cambridge University Press. This came out in 1995. Lots and lots of footnotes, which are fun to dig into if you have from my perspective anyway. And it's just what it says it is. It's early modern London. So from 1475, London was from In the 200 years from 1475, London was transformed from a medieval commune into a metropolis of 500,000 people, a capital city in a major European trading center. It's just amazing, isn't it? The next thing I have is the first volume. I'd like to get the rest of these too. This is Random House, The Diary of Samuel Pepys, which I have dipped in and out of many, many times. This is the Wheatley volume. So here you go. Fascinating read. You don't have to sit down and read all the way through. So lots of notes in here by the editor. I've used this so many times in so many different projects. Then we have here one of these little everyman libraries. This is shorter novels, Elizabethan. Thomas Deloney's Jack of Newbury and Thomas of Reading. Robert Greene's Card of Fancy. Thomas Nash's The Unfortunate Traveler. So this is number 824 in that library. And this introduction by George Saintsbury. Notes on the authors by Philip Henderson. This is Dent, London, Everyman Library. And this came out in 1966. Well, it was reprinted in 1966 for my volume. Then, something I'm reading off and on all the time, it seems like. This is James Boswell, The Life of Samuel Johnson. I have it in more than one edition. I got one set sitting at work right now that I'm working on. I read them off and on. This one has an introduction by Claude Rawson. This is Everyman Library number 101. And let's see, this thing's been out forever, so not sure what the date on this one is, but one of my favorites. Then this is something I only have a single volume of, and this is Samuel Johnson, his volume, A Voyage to Abyssinia, which is really his translation of somebody else's work. This is one of those Yale editions of the works of Samuel Johnson. This is number 15. These things are hard to find, and really hard to find inexpensively. I wouldn't mind having the set. On the back here, you can see the ones up till here. So the volume I'm holding is the last one on the list. So yeah, as I see them, and if they're reasonable, I'll grab them. Here's John Wayne, W-A-I-N. I've learned a little bit about him since I found this book. His role as a literary person. But this is his life of Samuel Johnson, his biography of Samuel Johnson, Viking Press, New York. No dust jacket on this thing. 1974. I have heard from in the comments section that people really like this this author. So I have not gotten to this yet. So I think we have time to do another shelf. We keep going. What do we at here? 13 minutes. We're getting a little long, but I'll move along pretty quick. Here's another one of these Everyman Libraries. This is number 994. This is Samuel Johnson, The Rambler. Let me see. These are essays that appeared Tuesdays and Saturdays from the 20th of March, 1750 to the 14th March, 1752. This volume contains about half the number that were done. This is introduced by Sir Sidney Roberts. So, essays by Samuel Johnson. Here's Penguin Classics, Black Spine edition of Walter Scott's Kenilworth. And this, it's where? I'm not going to dig for the date, but I have not read a lot of Walter Scott. I know he's not quite as fashionable anymore, but when you listen to a lot of classical music or opera, I mean, he had a huge impact on the world, so I'd like to read a little bit more of his stuff. Here's Daniel Defoe, Robinson Crusoe. Imagine many of you have read this. A nice edition of Daniel Defoe's Moll Flanders. There's the front, there's the back. This has the illustrated drawings by Reginald Marsh. It's an Easton Press, famous editions. So yeah, I love the illustrations in this. See if we get a few more. Oh, that's a little grim. Then we're going to move into an entire section of books I have not read. I have them here for a reason. It always, number one, it always shocks Steve Donahue when he comes here. And I make a point to them and say I've never read them, which just drives him crazy. I did get them because I had no plans to read them. I will read them now, but I got them basically for that reason. So the first one here is actually a pretty nice edition. This is Jane Austen's Emma, illustrated by Fritz Krettel. This is again another famous editions volume. Has a preface by Stellan Gibbons. And here's an example of the illustrations. Book plate falling out here. And then here's the, I got these, I wanted to read them in these editions. I was so happy to find them. Dust jackets probably need to be covered. No probably about it. They do need to be covered. So this is the novels of Jane Austen in 5 volumes, embodying the text of Dr. Chapman's great edition, now out of print. So when you look at the, I hope I can convey what these are like, the old dust jackets. So this one here is Sense and Sensibility, a text based on the collation of early editions by R.W. Chapman. This is the first of 5 volumes in this book, Oxford at the Clarendon Press, and this is second impression of 1943. So you can see the title page, and if, because these came out in multiple, you know, you got them by sections. So let me see if I can find a. Okay, so here, this is 1813. I'll show you something really interesting, and all these are set up this way. And I know that Jason Harrigan has talked about this on his channel, and he's going to get into more about book. I always call his channel after his name, and I'll have to get Byways of Bookland. I'll put it down below. I'm going to get it, and I'm going to figure it out because it's a wonderful channel. But he did a thing where he talked about how they carry these letters, and he's going to do more about book collecting. So it says, Eleanor said no more. It immediately struck her, and you see that her is dropped down here. If you look over here, her. Do it again here. So she put banknotes into, and then the first word up here is into. That just helped the printer find their way. So the next one is Pride and Prejudice. Looks like this. It's going to have all those same details. I'll just open up the front for you so you can see. So if you break through and get to the start of another one that came out here. So it even does that what I was just showing you with chapter. So it says chap, and then you're into chapter 3. So it's fascinating little bit of book stuff. So this one here is Mansfield Park. So you get a couple pictures in here from the time period. And then you have this. And then you'd have the front of the first volume that came out. The next one is Emma. Here. As an introductory note to Emma, and then once again we'll get to a title page from an old volume, and this one's pretty neat. This was 1816, and again, if you a little hard to find, but I think, well, actually I think I just did it. So that was volume 1. This is volume 2. Now we would just bind it all together and just call it one book. And then the last one here is Northanger Abbey. Here we go. The novels of title page, and then a historic. There'll be a table of contents for all of them. An introductory note on Northanger Abbey and Persuasion. Excuse me, both are in here. And then we'd start with the 1818 frontispiece there, or title page, excuse me. And let's see here. Persuasion. So great fun. I think it's the way I want to read them. I should get these covered in Mylar. Put a link to Jason down below, and I apologize, Jason, I get the title of the channel. I watch everything you do, so it's wonderful. And then we'll continue on with 7, which is going to be more English literature. We're going to be in that for a while, so if that's not your thing, you probably want to skip along, but I appreciate you spending time with me, so thank you, BookTube.